few more remarks regarding the Quarto documents that we were looking at. If you notice, let's see, let's go to our Quarto doc here. Let's see, we can render our file as an HTML or as some other formats. Let's look over in our file pane here. Notice this other pane here kind of disappeared, but you can expand that over here by clicking on this, but we don't need it really. Okay, so you'll notice that you just created an HTML document. So I mean, I could click on that. It will try to open in a web browser, but it's probably not going to render properly because there are some auxiliary files here as well. Nothing to worry about right now. But I do want to point out that if we wanted to render as a PDF, I can just type PDF here, right? So let's render this as a PDF. I like using HTML because it renders a little bit more quickly, and then for final rendering for your assignment, you'll use PDF. So we'll wait for that to go, and you can see it looks similar, but not a little bit different, right? But now notice we've got, if we go back, notice that rendered in the viewer pane. If we go back to files, now we have a PDF file. So I can take that and I can export it. So if I click export, it will just download to my downloads folder. So that's how you're going to be submitting assignments. One other thing worth mentioning is that we can click between what's called a visual view and the source view. So source is more like the basic stripped down version. So I have hash marks instead of boldface and larger fonts. If I go to the visual mode, it looks more like a WYSIWYG, and don't worry about this, just go ahead, click it. WYSIWYG meaning what you see is what you get. So if you prefer to work in this mode, it's fine. For example, if you wanted to enter a header, you could just say, tell it what size you want here. And it also makes it easier to insert things like figures and things. I actually go back and forth between the visual and the source, but I like it's a little bit easier to manipulate things when you're in the source view, in my view. Okay, and notice how these hash marks turned into bold and not as bold, right? Bold or different font size. See that? Great. Just as an extra, while we're here, let's go ahead and see what happens if I select echo equal false here, comma echo equal false. This will, let's look at our Quarto doc that we just, our PDF file. So notice it actually spit out the code as well, right? And also this message, it removed 2 rows that had missing values, which is just a warning. If we don't want that to appear, we can just say echo equals false, right? And we can actually say message equals false too. Message equals false. This is really a bit extra. Initially, I want to see all your code, so you won't be inserting those in your code chunks. But if I did do this, it will not render the code, but it will render the output, right? So it didn't give me the message, but it did give me the warning. So you can tell it warning equal false as well. But so it didn't. You can see that we didn't give it the code. It didn't render the code.